Will it work? And we are live. If everyone wants to
Hey.
retweet it from their accounts, I'm going to do that right now. Shout out to people that are joining us tonight. We have a great show for you guys. We're going to have a couple guests today. But our first one is Rylan from the OKC Thunder. He covers the Thunder with Sports Illustrated. Rylan, if you want to kind of give your introduction to the people listening.
I cover the Thunder for Sports Illustrated, Inside the Thunder, and also Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Thunder.
Nice. Okay, well, we got to jump right into it, Chris, Stan, and Isaiah Hartenstein is with you guys. Thoughts on that? You guys paid him a lot of money to come to Oklahoma. As it was reported, he wanted to stay, but that money is so hard to turn down. Initial thoughts of Isaiah joining the team?
Yeah, it's tough to turn down that money, obviously. This is the biggest free agency signing the Thunder have made, both in player stature and in financial commitment. So it's a huge deal for Oklahoma City. It also is their biggest need from last year's team, which was still good enough to win 57 games in the Western Conference. So this is a huge addition for the team on the court. I think that you look at it, and the Thunder had a unique opportunity where whenever you see the contract, it looks like a ton of money, and it is. $30 million a year and stuff. And you might think to yourself, like, how is Hartenstein worth that money? Even you guys in New York who know what he brings to the table, still $30 million is a lot. The Thunder are in such a unique position because of how good they've gotten, as quick as they've gotten, that they have this 2-year window to overpay anybody that they want to before the extensions kick in. Because while Shea and J-Dub and Chet will sign extensions next year, they won't kick in until the end of those contracts come up. So financially, they did a really smart move here, because if you want to quibble over, $5 to $10 million on this contract, the difference of getting someone of his caliber to fill in the biggest position of need on this team without giving up anything else but money is a huge benefit that the Thunder have never had. Even if they were trying to build around Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, if they wanted to improve their roster, they always had to give up more than just money. And so this is a luxury that this team has never seen before. And they shore up their biggest weakness, and it's going to be really fun to kind of see how he intertwines with this team.
Are you shocked?
Rylan, obviously, we had a situation here in New York where we weren't quite sure if Isaiah was going to re-sign here or if he was going to leave. Talk to us about were you expecting this to happen? Did you think that he was going to return to the Knicks? What would plan B have been had you guys not gotten Hartenstein? What do you make of how it all unfolded?
Yeah, it's interesting because it didn't really feel real until the report came out that they were meeting with him in Oregon. That's when it became real in Oklahoma City. And then some kind of reports that came out afterward of Klay Thompson was interested in OKC, and that they were also interested in Klay Thompson, but shifted their focus to Hartenstein. I wonder what would have happened there if they couldn't have gotten to an agreement with Hartenstein, or gotten close at least in that opening few hours of free agency, then agreed to it the next day. But I think that it always made sense in terms of what the Thunder would need, but they've also been keeping their options open of publicly, their stance as an organization. They've been talking about how they're not going to pigeonhole themselves, or that they, don't necessarily align with the needs that we might think that they have, on the outside looking in. And so they really could have gone anyway. And as we mentioned, the unique position that they were in to overpay somebody, it's also Oklahoma City. It's also the second smallest market in the NBA. So you got to overpay and just hope that that's willing to be enough to kind of overpay them and let them come in with this young core. So it did not become real, despite the earlier reports that then the opening night of free agency, until you knew that they were in a room. Because when Sam Presti does get in the room with somebody, it usually goes really well. And so whenever you were able to hear him out on that pitch, I thought that it was going to be something that would unfold.
Stan, you look stressed over there. What's going on, brother?
I'm reliving
his facial expressions.
I feel like I'm reliving it, and just hearing the other side, it gives context to just as a fan going through, this isn't real, right? As a fan, for Knicks fans, we were kind of no, wait, this isn't me. Wait, I think a lot of us were kind of bracing for this. Man, it's just, it's still, it's shocking. I was over it. Now I feel we got you on right with it. Now I'm just kind of I thought I was okay. I was okay, and we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
You know what it is sometimes. Oh no, go ahead, Rylan.
I think that's part of the huge significance of it for the Thunder fan base, is that he didn't just leave New York. He left the contending New York Knicks team to come to
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. And like, I know that like, bigger markets don't think of it in that realm. From just the personal side of like the attachment to this city and this organization, the fact that I know got a huge payday to do it, but left the contending New York team to join Oklahoma City is just something that you don't very much see on small market fronts. And the Thunder, like as you lay it out, did have a massive pitch. On top of the money, they also are themselves a contending team who were right there, in the Western Conference in a very, very tough conference. And the way that Sam Presti and Isaiah Hartenstein both talked at the introductory press conference made it seem like that both parties, the Thunder and Hartenstein, agree that there's more to explore in his game as a 26-year-old than maybe New York wanted to let him explore. And so if that was an angle that the Thunder took, plus the money, plus the fact that you're leaving a contender, but you're also joining a contender, maybe the discrepancies weren't as large as we once thought.
Rylan, what do you think that evening was like, if you can give insight on the negotiations? Do you think it started off with a number and then it was kind of like, hey, we didn't get the okay yet, we didn't get the yes yet, and then there was perhaps an increase?
Yeah, I think that whenever you look at it, the Thunder were just more prepared. And it's to no fault of New York, but in this instance, the Thunder have been setting this up since the trade deadline. And like you go back and you look at that Gordon Hayward trade, and what it did was it didn't work out on the court. It had a chance to. Like there was a chance he could have came in and been an offensive contributor. He wasn't. But making that move at the time of trading Micic and Trey Mann and Davis Bertans to Charlotte and to get an expiring contract back cleared up the amount of cap space that you needed to go make this big move. Whereas if you kind of don't make that trade, you still could have found homes for those guys, but you would have been attaching assets to them, more assets than you did to move on from them. And at that point, you would have given New York more time to get under the hard cap. The fact that they were ready right away, and one, they didn't let other teams take advantage of them. You look at what happened to Dallas to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. If they would have made that move at the deadline, they could have gotten under his contract, out from under it a lot easier than they ended up doing. So the Thunder were kind of having that foresight all along if they wanted to maximize on this window, and they didn't have to wait around. Because if you wait around, have to make those trades and finalize those trades, that gives you more and more time for New York to come swoop in. And if New York at all was able to get under the hard cap and become a little bit more competitive on the financial side of things, then you're fighting a really, really, really strong uphill battle. So I think that the biggest aspect of that meeting was that, hey, we're ready right now, and we can just get this done right now.
Yeah, obviously the Knicks couldn't have offered Hartenstein more than what his early bird rights would have given him, which was 4 years, 72.5, which clearly you guys were giving him more money over 3 years versus 4 years. But my question is, from an X's and O's standpoint, I thought Chet was the 5 moving forward, and now you're bringing in Isaiah. Was it the rebounding component? How does the spacing change when you're making that? Like, what do you make of how these pieces now fit together?
Yeah, I think that the two will play minutes together for sure. I would not assume that they're going to start together, though, and that's going to a little shocking because of his price.
$30 million off the bench?
That's right, and I think
crazy.
It is going to be crazy, and the sticker shock of it will be crazy. But here again, you have this weird window of you always had to overpay for a guy. You have this need. You've been having Chet develop as a 5 this whole time. And now you're able to spread out rim protection minutes for 48 minutes. Like, what was the flaw for last year's Thunder team? The second that Chet walked off that floor, nobody can protect the rim. And so now you can manage it a heck of a lot better. And if you do that, you take steps closer to winning a championship in this window where, you lost in 6 to Dallas with the point differential of 0, and they just dominated you, in a big aspect in terms of at the rim. So now you were able to, one, have another tool where you can go double bigs as needed. But more importantly than that, you can play them separately, because if you do start them together and you do run them heavy minutes together, they're both big men who don't play heavy minutes of like over 30 minutes a game. So therefore, you're back in the same boat of needing another rim protector that you just do not have. So I think that they'll play minutes together. Last year, the Thunder only played a double big lineup 2% of the time. I think that number will increase because you have a better option than Jay will. But I don't think it'll be just a crazy number where it's like you're starting the 2 and never looking back. So I do think that they'll still bring him off the bench where he's comfortable and kind of utilize him in that way to maximize all 48 minutes. And if you get that maximization on a 57-win team with the upgrade from Caruso to Giddey, from Giddey to Caruso, then you're talking about a really solid basketball team.
I can't imagine My question is more so in the retrospect of Isaiah wasn't able to shoot threes, which he did a lot with the LA Clippers. He did talk about this in his presser. I was reviewing it yesterday, that he wants to be able to, expand his game. Do you think that he's going to be able, get that opportunity to shoot threes in this system with Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think that whenever you look at his threes in the past, that they have not exactly been something that you can count on, not only percentage-wise outside of that year at the Clippers, but even that year at the Clippers, they did not happen organically, so to say. They happened in blowouts. They happened in the fourth quarter. I think only 2 of those 30 shots were taken whenever the game was within 10 points. So it was not even a feature even then, as much as we kind of tout that Clippers season is like, oh, this is why he can shoot. I think that the real reason is you look at his touch, 61% on floaters. You look at the fact that the Thunder have Chip England, one of the best, if not the best shooting coaches in the NBA. And they have a head coach who's very, very, very open to exploring just the most wackiest of outcomes. Where he's playing J-Will at the 5, he's playing a 6'7" guy at the 5. He's just doing whatever he wants to tinker and tamper with things. So I think that that's part of the luxury of signing with the Thunder, because even last year they were running these crazy lineups where they were a fully healthy team that ran 12 guys deep nightly in 157 games. While being fully healthy, they did not do it out of necessity. They did it out of luxury. And so you have a coach who's willing to explore that. I think that that's appealing to a 26-year-old who thinks that when he finally gets some security of you have your long-term deal, you have your minutes, everything around you is stable, and now you're going to get that luxury of trying to grow your game instead of trying to hold on to your NBA career. I think that that can lead to him, trying to grow his three-point game. Do I think it'll ever be a focal point of his game? No, but it can be a little added wrinkle, especially whenever you're playing next to SGA and J-Dub, who attack at the rim downhill and take up so much gravity. But I think that it would be a mistake to make him try to be a stretch 5. I think that the whole reason you got him was he's instantly the best screener on your team. He instantly complements those drivers and allows them to get to the rim with ease.
Rylan, he's a big addition to your team cap-wise. You have a lot of young players. With this new CBA, you can't keep everyone together.
Oh, God.
What do you do? I think teams like the Rockets, team like you guys, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. Who do you keep? Who do you send out? Obviously, Shea's not going anywhere. Obviously, Jalen, Chet, you got a lot of you just drafted a guy that just was filling it up in the summer league. What do you do? I mean, obviously it's what you kind of have to do as a person that covers a team. What's your opinion? What would you do as far as a trade package? Because you have to you're either going to lose these guys. I think some people are saying this now with the Knicks, kind of okay, well, they didn't see that coming with iHart losing. Maybe they should have signed him for a 3-year. And it's like a learning, as on the fly with this new CBA. Who are you keeping? Who are you letting go? It's a tough question. Obviously, this is just your opinion. But as a person who covers it, who's staying? Who's going?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think that Shea, Chet, and J-Dub are staying, and then the rest of it does not matter. The reason why the Thunder are not burning through these draft picks is because that they're going to need them. It's people look at these draft picks and think Lauri Markkanen. There is no way on earth that they should trade for Lauri Markkanen. What's the point of getting a 4th max contract guy who you can't pay and can't keep just for the sake of 2 years and making your team worse because they wouldn't have the same depth that they have right now? They've made smart trades of they've gotten Caruso and Hartenstein, 2 guys who aren't superstars, but if you look at how they play, 40% three-point shooter who can defend 1 through 4 for Caruso, and then you guys know what Hartenstein does. I don't have to tell you that. Both of those skill sets maximize Shea, J-Dub, and Chet. And so now you're just waiting, and you're waiting on J-Dub and Chet to become playoff players. And if you believe that they eventually become 16-game players, which they weren't last year, but that was their first time, going at it, then this is a championship core already. And so, yeah, you might not be able to keep Case and Wallace whenever that time comes. You might not be able to keep, pick your other, peripheral player that you really like. But the fact that you got to sign Wiggins and Joe to, really team-friendly deals was huge. You're going to get to keep those guys for as long as you can, but you might not get to keep Dort or somebody like that. But you have one of the best drafters in the sport. You have a mountain of draft picks. You have a mountain of second-round picks, too, and we just saw how valuable those are. Every single year at the trade deadline, we see quality veterans who contribute go for second-round picks. And then this year, the guy that you're mentioning that's filling it up right now was had for 5 second-round picks.
By the way, what's this going on with our GMs? Like, we just were like, it was a little dancing going on at the
between Sam Presti and Leon Rose. They
Yeah.
seem to like have some type of
I think that they kind of match up very well of just like in terms of this offseason. The Thunder really needed a backup big.
Right.
Hartenstein fills that role. You guys made that massive trade to get Mikal Bridges, needed some future assets for some flexibility. Well, who has a surplus of future assets? It's Oklahoma City. So they kind of timed out very well here. And it doesn't hurt that like you're just mixing it up between the two conferences and not like in the same conference or division or anything like that. But I think that in terms of who you keep, it's Shea, Chet, J-Dub, and then you figure the rest out, just like kind of Denver's doing right now. Like they won a title with Jokic and Murray. They're keeping those two guys. They lost KCP. They lost Bruce Brown in back-to-back off seasons. But you just got to roll with the punches and figure it out and hope that guys like Christian Braun step up.
Rylan, this isn't the only time that the Knicks and Thunder have traded. You guys got Ousmane Dieng in that deal. Do you view that deal as a success for you guys, given you guys have to give up a lot of draft capital? What have you guys seen from that deal so far?
Yeah, I think that it was a worthwhile project. I think that the Thunder couldn't have foreseen getting this good this fast. Like sure, they would have always hoped that they took incremental steps along the way. But when they took Ousmane Dieng, that was before J-Dub took a dribble. That was before Chet played. He was still a year away from playing because he got hurt in August and missed the whole season. That season without Chet, who was their lone top 5 pick of this whole rebuild, even the guy they just traded away, Josh Giddey, was number 6. Chet's the only guy that they've gotten in this whole rebuild in the top 5. He didn't play for a whole year, and they finished 40-42 and made the made the play-in tournament. So they could not have ever imagined that they'd be at this stage, and that really did limit Ousmane Dieng's growth. Of like you couldn't play him last year in the NBA. You were trying to do too many things on the court to impact winning, whereas when you took a shot on Poku, you got to give him a ton of NBA reps, and he didn't work out either. He did not develop, and he is not a good player, but he got the benefit of growing in the NBA and sinking or swimming. Oos hasn't gotten to play there yet because you've just been too good, and you're probably going to be too good to play him a ton, this upcoming season as well. But I think that trade, it was a calculated risk. Some of it was to make sure no one could leapfrog them to take J-Dub, and they just took a swing on Ousmane Dieng. And then some of it was also like those picks are good to have because you're never going to turn down first-round picks, but the protections kind of lessen the value on the dollar that they bring to the table in terms of the exchange rate on those first-round picks. So you took a shot on a 6'11" guy who can play with the ball in his hands, and if he does figure it out at some point, which he made significant strides in the G League, if he does at some point figure it out, this is a 6'11" guy who can defend 1 through 5, shoot the 3, and play make. That checks every single box of the lone remaining hole on this Thunder roster, which is their power forward spot. So I think it was still worth doing, especially considering the protections on those picks to New York.
Yeah, reminder, the Knicks got 3 picks in that deal. One of them was from Denver. I believe they used that pick to offload Kemba Walker. One of them was from Washington. One of them was from Detroit. I believe the Knicks still have both of those picks. Heavy protections, as you mentioned. The Detroit pick probably won't convey at all. It'll probably turn into a pair of second rounders. The Washington pick I wrote about, I think that pick has a chance to convey because I think they're underperforming. But, we'll see. We will see. Charlotte, what up?
No, I think that Washington pick, they just got Sadiq Bey, if I'm not mistaken.
Wizards? Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that Washington pick conveys, and then New York has that first round. Okay, getting ahead of myself.
Like it.
No, but I think that the OKC Thunder, I think Isaiah is going to be great in Oklahoma. I'm sure it was hard for him to leave just because he loves New York from everything that he's talked about. Did he say anything in the press conference when you were there? Like, only about New York, just to, give the fans something?
It sounds like, did he say? Did
he say?
Did he ask about me?
Did he mention us by name?
Talk about me? Did he?
Chris and the beat reporters have been talking about Isaiah. We can only offer the words 4 years, $72 million have been replaying in my mind like a dry washing machine. I get it. We can only offer him $72 million, and the OKC Thunder can offer him more, maybe 15 more million. So you decide. But did he say anything about New York? I know I got some questions from some fans asking in my DMs right now, saying, "Hey, Charlotte, is it possible you can ask him about Isaiah and if he mentioned New York?" in the press.
Yeah, I think that whether you believe him or not, he did mention New York of being a really, really tough place to leave. And obviously the money, you can quibble with that if you want to be cynical. But I think that when you look at it too, it was very tough. And you mentioned the camaraderie that the Knicks team have is kind of like the Eastern Conference Thunder. Like last year, the two teams who people retweeted on social media every single game about some funny post-game interview or some social media interaction was New York and the Thunder. And like these were the two very fun, loving groups. And so it's always tough to be kind of ripped apart from that. And then he also gave a lot of credit to Tom Thibodeau of developing him as a player, and especially developing him defensively, which is where he's able to make that money. Like if he's not that quality defender, and you guys can rattle off his defensive EPM, I'm sure, like the back of your hand. Like if he's not that kind of defender, he's not getting this payday. And so the fact that he credits Tom Thibodeau with this growth of his game, I think just shows how much that he really does appreciate and understand what the Knicks have done for his game. But yeah, he went over and over again about how hard it was. And I think he really wanted to stress that because from the outside looking in, people could take a cynical lens of like, it couldn't have been that hard to take, the $87 million, but it was. Like it was a tough call.
Okay.
So Knicks fans, Tom Thibodeau develops guys? What?
I want to thank Rylan for coming on today. We have another guest coming on a little bit later, but Rylan, I appreciate you taking time. Where can they find you, listeners? If you want to
plug yourself, Rylan.
You can find me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. You can find the show on anywhere you get your podcast from, Locked On Thunder, and also SI Thunder on Sports Illustrated for written content. But I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun to talk Hartenstein. We'll take good care of him in Oklahoma City.
We'll talk more during the
Yeah, we'll see what happens in 3 years. Let's give it 3 years.
I was going to get an Isaiah Hartenstein jersey. Like, literally, I wanted to add it to my repertoire, and now I can't wear 55. It's okay. Take good care of him. Rylan, appreciate you for coming on. I think we have our next guest coming on soon. You guys are really going to like our next guest, too. We have some great guests on. Appreciate you, Rylan, for coming on. But we have some great guests. We have Rylan.
I know we do. Who's our next guest? I'm coming in blind.
I think Stan should introduce our next guest because Stan does.
Okay, let me preface. Knicks fans, you're not going to like this guest because we spent the past 2 days, maybe 3, I think it was 2 days, talking about wanting a player that's not going to be available to us. This is a fan base,
drum roll, please,
and their GM that is highly intelligent. We just came off of another, a great guest who has another great GM. Young players on that squad, they're not giving up their best player. Let's bring my guy Will on. Will from Houston Live, from the Will and Brado show. So also, you can catch him on the Bleacher Report. You can catch him on Twitter Spaces. I believe he's on Twitter Spaces as well. And also, Will.
Yo.
Welcome, Will, to the show.
My fault, man. I've been having some technical difficulties. Y'all can hear me?
You good,
yes,
bro.
Yeah, we
want to give you your flowers for the year you just had, man. You and Brado, man. Y'all had a phenomenal year. So shout out to y'all boys. I rock with y'all heavy. So obviously, me and Charlotte was on the space with y'all early in the season. Yep. We were chopping it up.
Yeah, we won that one too.
Yeah, y'all did win that one. That's why. That's why. I was like,
wait, one. Oh, the game. The game.
Hold on. Wait, pause. The Knicks should have won that game.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson did not foul him. Okay, let's get that clear first of all.
That was tough getting through that show.
We won the challenge with the NBA. The referee, Jason Gobble, is never going to leave my mind. That Houston game, I cannot wait to play you guys next season. But, Will, we're here to talk about a couple things. First of all, your team is kind of, getting it together. You got a lot of young guys. You just add Reed Shepherd from Kentucky as a guard. And
crazy. How did you guys get him? I don't understand how
easy
that works out.
What a steal. What a steal. But Will, introduce yourself for the crowd, and then we'll talk about all these players with the Rockets rumors.
Yo, what's good? Y'all can still hear me, right? I'm still
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Yeah, because it was giving me a bunch of problems when I was trying to join the first time. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff at Bias Houston. You can check in with our playback room at Houston Live. I am doing a Bleacher Report stream tomorrow at 12, I believe. So if y'all want to check in with some Rockets content on the Bleacher Report app, you can do that as well. But I think that's pretty much everything that I do.
Now, Will, Alperen Sengun has been in a lot of rumors with New York. Why do you think that is? Or do you think that the Rockets are trying to move him? Or is this trying to, Knicks for clicks again?
Yeah, I'm not excuse me, I'm not really sure where the report that Sengun is gonna get moved from. I think what it is it's derivative from the Rockets not giving him an extension, which has nothing to do with how they feel about him and everything to do with them trying to preserve his cap hold the exact same way the Sixers just did with Tyrese Maxey this year. They want to have max cap space going into next summer, and if you wait a season to extend Sengun, you get that. So I think that I don't know. I guess people are ignoring that part about like why they're choosing not to extend him, and then they're using that to kind of like, okay, well, if they're not extending him, that means they're going to try to trade him, and then you get these avenues where he's in trade rumors, but he's not getting traded. Like that's not happening.
Sorry, Knicks fans.
I was always wondering why it seemed like his name was in trade rumors, because he's clearly a talented player, right? Like I look at him and I see kind of like young Marcus Gasol in a way, and like it's just for you guys to be suddenly moved. I think I read somewhere where it's like, oh, it's between Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. They can play together, right? So like, just do you see that as the core of the Rockets? Is this Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green show?
I mean, I think Sengun has stamped himself. I think Jalen has some more to prove before we say it's the Jalen Green show. But I think he can. I'm not saying he can't. He kind of showed us a little something towards the end of last season to give you some hope going into this season. But this would be the season that he kind of shows you if he is a part of the plans moving forward, if he's not. But yeah, I think Sengun has for sure already stamped himself. He's going to be here for a very long time.
Would you say Sengun is like your equivalent? We just had OKC's beat reporter on Rylan Stiles. He's equivalent to you guys SGA, basically. Obviously, he's not SGA, but an upcoming player who has the ability to be an All-NBA, All-Star, all whatever you want to give him. And in that case, obviously, when the talks about, maybe the OKC would trade for, trade Shea away. And that was like, no, obviously you get all these picks to get a Shea, to get a Sengun. So like, would you say he's there? And then obviously after that, where would you rank your players?
I'm not sure if it's fair to say he's Shea, just because Shea's, in my opinion, MVP caliber player. He's probably
not like your
equivalent.
Like an up. I think he meant like an up and coming player that can take that next step.
I don't know if Sengun gonna get top 5 because I think SGA is in the top 5 combos. I don't know if it's fair to say Sengun is going to reach those heights. But I do think Shingun's going to be. I mean, I think he's going to be an all-star next season. I think he's going to probably stay there for the next 7 years. Something like he's going to be there for a little minute. I think he's obviously a very talented player who's going to lead this team to a lot of wins. He did it just last season. So yeah, like in terms of, I think our most untouchable players, I think he's in that convo. I'm not sure if I would say he's the only guy who's just completely untouchable, but I do think he's untouchable. There's not a scenario where I see them moving him, just because he is, he's 20. I think he just turned 22, and I think he should have been an all-star last year. Amazing player as it is. So yeah. And then to rank him, you want me to rank, what is it, the 7 guys? Because we have Reed now. You want me to rank those 7?
Yeah, like your core, like how you look at them, basically.
In terms of who's better right now, who I think is going to be better.
Or like who you believe the front office has. Like if I had to do it, and I frequent a lot of you, like whatever y'all got going on, because I love y'all team.
Yeah.
I would do Sengun. I would do Amin. I would do Cam. I would do Jalen. Then Tari. I don't know after that.
I would have Sengun and the men in some capacity at 1 and 2. And this is what I think the Rockets have, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah. So I would have Sengun and the men in some capacity at 1 and 2. I'd have Tari Eason at 3. I would have.
Yeah, it's tough.
I feel very confident in that top 3.
Yeah,
because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It gets really tough here. I don't know how they feel.
I'm like, where does Fred rank in this?
Oh, you want me to do the? You want me to include Fred as well? Well, I don't think Fred is.
I don't think Fred.
Yeah, I don't think Fred is in the long term,
he's
at least in terms of being a main focal point. I don't think he's in the long term plans.
He probably gets traded because of salary. Because you have.
I mean, he's an expiring contract, so we don't even have to trade him.
That's true.
Yeah, but yeah, Amin, Sengun, and some 1 and 2. I'd take Tari at 3 just because how versatile he is and how he can already impact winning right now. The thing with Jalen is I would have Jalen just as high as Amin and Sengun, but he has struggled quite a lot through his career so far. So it's kind of hard it's really hard to like evaluate because obviously when he's at his best, he's like arguably the best player on the team at times, but you only get that player for like a third of the season, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard it's really hard for me to kind of put him in that.
It felt like with him a flip switched, and then like he started going crazy. Like, do you think that second half, maybe last third of the season, could be like a ramp for him moving forward?
I mean, that's the hope. The hope is that it is. I honestly, man, I have no idea what to expect from Jalen Green this year. I think he can be. I don't think he's going to do what he did in March because I mean he was averaging like 30-some points per game on like it was crazy. I don't think he's going to do that for the whole season, but I think he could do an approximation of. I think not saying he will. I think he can.
Like
now what he does is
of insanity, basically. That
he had a little run where he was like arguably the best player in the league for like.
What do you attribute that run to? What do you attribute that run to?
Bro, they say it's because he had a baby on the way, bro. I have no idea what it was, though. I don't know what got into him at that point in time, but
yeah,
something just clicked in his head for that month of March, and he
started going crazy.
Yeah, I'm the best player in the league now. I don't know.
Yeah. You guys obviously got Ime Udoka. I got a chance to work with Ime. He was an assistant in Brooklyn for a minute, and then he went to Boston. It seemed like that hire was a little controversial at the moment because of everything he was going with. What did you make of the hire in the moment, and then how has he been? Like, what do you make of it now after a year watching him coach?
I loved it. He was my number. I wanted Nick Nurse 1, and then Ime was number 2 for me. So, but I wasn't. It wasn't like Nick Nurse was up here and Ime was like it was like neck and neck for me. And so I loved it. I thought that was great hire, and honestly, like a year later, I think it was the perfect hire. I don't think it could have got any better than that. Honestly, I think he's what we needed in terms of bringing in that structure and accountability that we sorely lacked from the previous coaching staff. And so I think he was that. I think he also he embodied what style of basketball he wanted to play, and I think it kind of trickled down onto the players as well. So that's why you start seeing efforts from like Dylan Brooks as well. You start seeing guys like they're not out there getting pushed around and shoved around no more. Like they shoving back now. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're in that moment too. So I like I said, I don't think it could have got any better than what he did. And obviously, like I'm super excited for what he's gonna do going into next year.
Will, what is going on with the Rockets and Kevin Durant? That's what I'm speaking because Chris covered Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, and you're a Houston Rockets fan. I was so confused throughout that whole thing, and also kind of bridging the Knicks in here. That trade you made with Houston, giving their picks back, that was really interesting to me because it makes sense why Brooklyn, obviously, because now they want to go after a Cooper Flagg or an Ace Bailey in next year's draft, but I think people are confused by if Houston was going to do that, that means you're going to go get someone, of a Kevin Durant caliber. Maybe walk us through what happened there, because, once the Knicks gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, I know you guys, I see on Twitter sometimes there's like an edit of Mikal in a Rockets jersey. And I was like, oh, maybe that's because of it. I don't know. But talk a little bit about this whole thing with Kevin Durant, giving Brooklyn back their picks. Yeah.
So I'll tackle the last question first and then work my way to the first one. The idea behind the trade, because I know people are confused. They're like, well, y'all just gave back, because you just got number 3 this year from Brooklyn, and then they traded Mikal Bridges, and you just gave them back their picks back. Like, you should have kept them. They're gonna be bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get you were confused, but one thing is, like, the Nets don't trade Mikal Bridges without the Rockets trade going through as well, like that. The reporting on it kind of made it seem like it was Mikal got traded and then Houston did it.
Yeah.
But like, it was a 3-team trade though. That was kind of on, I guess, Woj and Shams for just kind of breaking the news. It was a 3-team trade.
As soon as it broke, I opened up a space. I seen Charlotte open a space. I seen you open a space. I was like, all right, Charlotte got the space going on. I'm gonna join y'all space real quick.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, so you got to watch it live.
Super popping. I had like
live
2,000
react
people
to it.
in there.
Yeah, because I mean, we didn't.
Y'all was even the main people.
Yeah, we just thought Mikal got traded, but yeah, so like, it was contingent. Like, they needed those picks, or he wouldn't have got traded.
Right.
And then, like, from the Rockets' perspective, it's like, okay, yeah, you do give up what is probably going to be a top 5 pick next year, and probably for the foreseeable. Although we still have a 2027 first, so that also there. But for the next 2 years, you probably did give up just two first round, 2 top 5 picks. But the idea was like, you gave up 2, but you received back 4, and they're also more in the future, so you don't have to make a decision on them right now. And this is what I haven't even shared this before, but what I was told, and I think I can share this. What I was told was that they believed that they had tried, or I wouldn't say they gauged the. I don't know if they tried to shop the Nets picks at the trade deadline, or if they just gauged the value on them. But I know that those picks were floated out there, and what they were told was, yeah, those picks are nice, but they're not the Suns picks. Like that's what the Rockets. So they believe the Suns picks are better than the Nets picks, and so I think that's why they got more of what they think are better picks than what they gave up. And then I think the Kevin Durant stuff is just, I don't think it's happening. I think it was once again like taking a report and then kind of drawing a conclusion from it, not necessarily what actually is happening. I don't think the Rockets are going. I think the more likely outcome, if we do make a trade with Phoenix, it's for Devin Booker. If they say it's time to blow it up, I think they will try to target a Devin Booker if they do Kevin Durant.
Well, I gotta ask you this question.
Yeah.
For Knicks fans, if you were to move Sengun, I know it's not gonna happen. What would the package look like?
You have to give it to Randall. You got to give it.
I don't think y'all have the assets because y'all don't have no more draft picks.
I don't think so. I actually don't. But if you had to factor it in, what would it look like with the assets we have? I think we have 27 to trade.
Yep.
We have the two picks that are not going to convey. One of the picks.
I don't see a Sengun trade happening.
No, it's not going to happen. But for all the people that puts together these packages,
I'd want at least what y'all gave from Mikal Bridges. At least.
No. Yeah. 5.
That's fair.
I'm in the Knicks. I think
Sengun is better than Mikal Bridges.
I get it. Sengun is talented, man.
5 first round picks.
He's better. Why would?
Yeah, I think he's better than Mikal Bridges.
You don't think so?
Wait, what are you talking about?
You say you don't think Sengun's better than Mikal Bridges?
No, Will said he does think so.
Oh no, I think Sengun is better. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I was about to say, I'm like, really?
No. I think Sengun's better than Mikal. So I would want
Randall.
to that.
It would have to be Randall.
You have to give. There's no
plus there's
no trade package that you cannot give up Julius Randle for Sengun. Like
it
doesn't.
Plus what?
Julius Randle.
Like exactly. All right, you're flipping him out. It's a 3.
I mean, like I said, if it like I don't want to trade Sengun, but if I had to,
Right.
yeah, I would probably want at least 5 first-round picks.
Who's giving you 5 first-round picks for Sengun right now?
I mean, if you
Whoever
want
got
him,
him.
yeah, who got him?
Whoever got him, yeah.
What Chris said.
I'm going back to the to what you mentioned earlier, Will. So the Nets got back. I guess the Rockets had swap rights for the 2025 pick, which would have obviously they would have took Brooklyn's pick, so they got the 2025 pick and the 2026 pick back. And the Rockets got back their own swap. They got back their own 2025 pick, and they got the Suns 2027 pick. So we think that the Suns 2027 pick will be higher than the Nets 2025 pick. That's the
either
process
that
there.
or like I said, it's also like a quantity thing, right? There's more of the Suns picks because I think it's not just I remember the number was 2 for 4. I think we swapped.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's also rights to the 2 most favorable between the Mavs,
Yeah.
Suns, and Rockets picks in 2029. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
Suns 2029.
we have them in
brutal.
2020. So like it's a quantity. It's not only do they think those picks are going to be good, they think their picks are going to be good, and there's also more of them.
That's
And then
tough.
also, like I said, there is a scenario where, and I say this is what's going to happen. This is just like I said, connecting dots. But if the Suns do say, hey, we want to rebuild, right? Because same with the Nets, right? You can't rebuild unless you have your draft picks back. That's why.
Yeah,
right.
Brooklyn had to trade with us to get that reset. If Phoenix says, I want to rebuild, what better to trade your guy for than to get all your picks back? So that could be one thing that they could saying like, hey, look, we want to potentially start. They want to go big game hunting. They want to go get a Devin Booker, right? Well, but what better than to give you your own picks back for Devin Booker? But even if that's not what they want to do, you can still package those picks for something else and bring somebody else to Houston. So. It is.
So is there a player you have in mind? Is there a guy that you think is worth using all this draft assets? We just used it on Mikal Bridges. Who's that player for you?
I hope we don't have to. I hope that like
you got to, bro.
Because we the problem with that is like we got assuming all of our young guys hit, we can't afford to bring in like we're probably gonna lose some of them. So there's no way we can afford to bring in like somebody else. So like I think the scenario where we do trade those picks for a player, it's because somebody in our young core didn't live up to expectations, and we're like, all right, we're gonna kind of give up on you.
So is it
so
fair
hopefully we don't have to use them at all?
Or is it fair to say y'all just gonna keep kicking the can like what you have and trade for more picks later? And I can
see. Like I said, I think they'll if assuming like let's say that like Jalen, Sengun, and then they like let's say those 3 guys for sure hit, right? And then maybe whatever happens with like Reed. Well, I think Tari for sure I think he's a hit already.
Yeah.
But like with like Bari, Cam, and Reed, let's say whatever happens with those guys, right? I think what they would do in that scenario, instead of trading for a star, I think they would do some combination of use those picks to bring in guys who complement the group, like trade them for role players, or like what you said is I think they might continue to kick the can down the line, kick it down the line until you get to decide, okay, this is what I want to do. And I want to trade them for a star. Or like, maybe it's time for us to rebuild and we just use those picks. Like, I think they could, you just give yourself the option to like, instead of having to make a decision. Cause like I said, that next pick was going to be next year. So like, you don't have to make a decision on it now. You can wait and kind of see what you have before you make a decision.
Wow. I'm not giving up 5 first-round picks for Sengun.
I would. If we had them,
a personal opinion.
If I had them, I would.
Whatever. But Will, thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time. Thank you for breaking those down. We really do appreciate it because I know some Knicks fans were like, Sengun, maybe we get him for Randall.
Sorry.
I don't know about that, but Will kind of dispelled those rumors for everyone.
Yeah.
To the over 1,000 people in here that are listening. So, Will, appreciate you for coming on. If you want to once again plug your socials so people know where to find you.
Yeah, you can find me Instagram, Twitter at Bias Houston, and yeah, for sure. Like, thank y'all for having me on. I'll be back whenever y'all need.
Absolutely, Brody. Appreciate you.
Of course, appreciate you.
Appreciate
you. So, guys, 2 amazing guests. We got the iHart news. He wanted to be. It was hard. He kept referencing in the press conference, and then Will kind of dispelled those Sengun rumors. But we got to talk about what's going on with New York. Chris, how you doing? What's going on? the Knicks were the last team to, announce their summer league roster. I posted a tweet. I was like, the Knicks are officially the last team without a roster, and it had like over 20,000 people. It's just a fact.
I found out that they had announced the summer league roster literally while I'm stepping foot in the gym. So I'm like trying to start working out and also tweet out, oh, we got the summer league roster. And then I'm talking to my editor, yo, I'm at the gym. I'll write my story later. Spend a whole bunch of time looking at tape. But yeah, listen, I mean, this is kind of what we expected. We expected all the rookies to be available. And hey, I wish I was in Vegas. I know it's 120 degrees out there, but it's going to be some good basketball out there. So no real surprises. I'm interested to see, obviously, Pacom play. Tyler Kolek, want to see him play. Ariel Hukporti, if you watch the film on him, he can jump out the gym. He can score around the paint. I'm interested to see what he looks like in the summer league. So we'll see. We gotta break it down.
Stan, thoughts on summer league? I love it. People are hating on the summer league every year. Hot take, maybe a little bit. Jericho Sims is talking a lot of stuff on social media right now.
Are you walking back, Charlotte?
Am I walking it back?
Oh,
no. You're not even finishing. No. Do you think is a reasonable thing to say Jericho Sims could have played in summer league?
No.
Nah.
That's disrespectful.
Nah.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah, Jericho was named a starter at one point in the season and got hurt, and that's the only reason he didn't play more. So I don't think sending him to summer league would be like.
What do you guys make of these Jalen Duran rumors? So there's a lot of rumors about centers. We got cat rumors again with these, kitty cat rumors. You got Sengun, who we already talked about. Jalen Duran, who Stan.
I'll take it from here. I think that what we have right now, I think the Knicks have a good core right now. I kind of want to see what it looks like. I kind of just want them to address the actual needs right now, which really is backup center. We're still trying to figure out what that looks like. But there's also Jericho Sims, right? Jericho Sims could come through and try to play some minutes. So I anticipate this team is going to sign somebody. Maybe it's someone off the summer league roster. Maybe it's a free agent who's out there. I personally am looking forward to seeing what Ariel Hukporti looks like because he's talented. He ruptured his Achilles, I believe, in 2022, so that's something to watch out for. But other than that, he's ready to play. He's got good footwork. He's ferocious around the rims, trying to dunk everything, block everything. He can play.
Another guy also that I think to watch out. He played last year with the Knicks Summer League. Dimitro Skapsev.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call his name's Dimitro.
Yes.
Was amazing last year in summer league. Like he has a shot and he defends the rim really well. That is the guy that I'm watching for. Stan, what's the guy that you're looking for in the summer league?
Jacob Toppin. I want to see what Jacob Toppin could do. I want to see he's the odd man out at this point. Everybody's talking about the new kids, everybody's this is the best summer league, and everybody's forgetting about Jacob Toppin. I think he has a lot to prove. I think he can obviously still jump out of the gym. I think a lot of people are forgetting his defensive abilities. I wanted to see Jacob Toppin more last year. Obviously, we were a team that was competing. We were blowing out teams, so that's why I would have liked to see him. We didn't see it. I want to see him turn up this summer league. Jacob Toppin, show me what you're made of.
Grando in the chat said, president of the Tyler Kolek fan club checking in. That's another one,
Kolek, yeah.
That fake report of saying that he can't read, I think actually hurt his stock, which is terrible, but
I'm happy with it.
What are you thinking about this Tyler Kolek, maybe Miles McBride battle for backup point guard?
I'm not sure how much of a battle it becomes because McBride has, he proved himself already. Kolek has to prove himself at this level. But it's a nice dynamic to bring off the bench because they're two totally different types of players. McBride is a guy who's going to go out there and lock up and light it up from three, right? Kolek is a guy you can put the ball in his hands and he's going to initiate some offense, get somebody involved, and he's also not a slouch on defense. So I think he averaged 15.3 points and 7.7 assists senior year at Marquette. I think he also averaged 1.6 steals, shot the ball really, really well. I'm interested. I want to see what he looks like in summer league. And look, there's always room for another guard, right? Guys go down. We saw what happened last year. There's always going to be injuries that happen. Someone's going to have to be able to step up. Tyler Colt looks like a guy who, and he's a good culture fit. I was watching some of his videos. He told a reporter to go to Urban Dictionary to figure out what barbecue chicken means. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I like him a lot.
I think he's going to be good. I think he could make the final roster.
Yeah, I expect that. Yeah.
I think he could be a good guard. Obviously Dwayne Washington's playing again with the team. A lot of former Knicks are playing on other rosters. You got Charlie Brown with the Orlando Magic, I'm pretty sure. So, some movement, but I'm waiting. I don't think the Knicks are done. Like, it seems to me that they're making another move. There's only Chris, I want your thought. There's a big debate on Knicks Twitter. I want your thoughts on this. Thoughts on Karl Anthony Towns and his fit with New York. Stan, don't do that thing you did before. Chris, go.
For number one is who are you giving up to get him, right? And
I'm gonna do Julius thumbs down.
I don't know that moves the needle. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a way that, like, I like what Julius Randle brings. I like what Cat found in the playoffs, right? When Cat kind of tapped into that, it was too little too late, right? Once he started turning up in the second round. But, like, he could have, I don't know what round that was, but I just don't feel like I see consistent enough imposing his will on the game from Cat. Versus when Julius goes out there, whether you like it or not, he's going to make sure you feel his presence out there, right? Again, I say the numbers every time, 24, 9, and 5. Only other players to average that, or either won MVPs or will win an MVP. That's Luka, who will win an MVP sometime soon. And there's Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Jokic, who averaged those numbers last season, already won MVP. I like Julius. I like his fit. I think it's going to take some time to get it together. Yeah, I don't necessarily know that you need to trade for Cat if that's like if that's your last piece. You're going to put Cat next to Mitchell. I don't know what the rest of the team would look like. I think the team as currently constructed owes itself a chance to go out there and see what it could do. Just get you a backup center and go to work.
I can't buy into Cat. I agree with you. I'm not trading Julius Randle for Cat. I'm just saying what potentially they could be looking at to do. My question is, if it's not Cat, Jalen Duran would probably be the funniest storyline because they literally traded him on draft night without even I don't know, but that whole draft was so confusing to follow, the second round of this year's past draft, but because I couldn't follow it at all because the Knicks decided to move down 16 spots for cap flexibility, but whatever. But it just doesn't make sense. But
I mean, it was for nothing because we didn't get iHart.
Chris, have you been hearing anything potentially that pertains to the center? Also, there's some news about a Jalen Brunson extension coming up. Obviously next season, that whole thing is going to be Julius Randle's extension. Jalen could be coming this season, for a pay cut. They did bring in his former college teammate, Mikal Bridges, to this team. Anything you want to update the public on, or any articles that you've published already?
Well, tomorrow is the day where Jalen Brunson can officially sign a contract extension. I believe he's got 4 years, 155, something in that ballpark. That'll be on the table for him. Julius Randle can sign his extension starting the first week of August, and then Mikal Bridges will also be up for an extension. He'll be eligible to sign a 2-year extension October 1st. So this is kind of the extension era in New York, if you will. And I guess the ball is in Jalen Brunson's court. You just watched your teammate sign for $212 million over 5 years in OG. Now the Knicks are going to offer you less than that. You can take it right now and solidify your space in New York for the next 4 years, or you can bet on yourself. And then you have the broadcast rights coming in. So the salary cap is going to spike 10%, which means you're going to be able to get more than $250 million next year if you want it, if you earn it. So it's a difficult thing to weigh, but he's got a decision coming up. Julius Randle, same boat. In October, he could sign for, a little bit more than Jalen, but if he waits another year, he can also get $200+ million. And then Mikal Bridges has an option here where he could extend he could extend in October. I believe the number is 2 years, 75 in that ball. I think 73. But if he waits until the end of the season, he can get 3 years, 113, right? So there's a bunch of different numbers. It's a lot of math. Really, it boils down to whether guys want to take the money now and solidify their space here, or whether they want to get the bag. If you just watched OG Anunoby get the bag, right? So if I'm anybody, I'm looking at OG's agent, I'm looking at my agent, I'm like, I want what he got, right? But at the same time, you have a chance to build something sustainable, to not put the team over, to a point where you're encroaching on the second apron. There's a lot of things to consider here. So you got that coming up. Yeah, other than that, in terms of centers, I know we've seen the Walker Kessler rumors. I don't know how that gets done because the 2 draft picks the Knicks can trade. The Knicks can only trade their 2 picks that they have from other teams next year. You got Detroit and you got Washington. Every other trade you can't trade. Every other pick you can't trade because you gave the Nets 5 picks, right? So because you can't trade picks and you can't not have a draft pick in consecutive draft classes, you have to choose somebody in every other class. So the Knicks can't trade the picks that they have that they own, but they can trade the Pistons pick, which is protected, and the Wizards pick, which is protected. So their best offer right now is going to be those 2 picks, second round picks, and a player. Is that enough to go get a guy like Walker Kessler? I don't know. Is that enough to get another center that's available? Maybe. So we'll see what happens. We still got some time.
Walker Kessler's very intriguing.
Yeah.
On that rookie contract still, is a CAA guy, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But Walker Kessler, I think, would be a great backup center to Mitch, in my opinion. I think Walker Kessler. Stan, what are your thoughts on, Jalen Duran, Walker Kessler, any of these guys that are being talked about?
Listen, I'm not a fan of trading away too much right now. I'm not a fan of doing too much right now. I think this is a Knicks team that has continuity, which is important. A lot of teams are looking forward to building that, right? Like, there's not much teams. If you look at the past NBA championships, I believe I said this in the last show, or maybe a space. There's not that many teams that win a championship without continuity. You go back to the Boston Celtics. They added 2 pieces, but they had a team that was making that run they brought back Al Horford for that reason, continuity purposes. Al Horford wasn't doing what he was doing in other places. You bring him back to Boston, and he's taking off. He's starting to be a good backup center. I just think that I said this on the last show, I'm completely fine with doing whatever the Knicks. It's boring. It's a boring answer, but I'm completely fine with doing whatever the Knicks want to do. Leon Rose, obviously, he's afforded our trust. I think that I think he has something up his sleeve. I think, and if he doesn't have anything up his sleeve, I think this sleeve of Jericho Sims, shout out to Jericho Sims. I don't know if y'all seen his IG. He been a little spicy. You know what I'm saying? He going at people with tweets. I think somebody talked about him something like, and he said, "Oh, you look like your girl's wife." I was like, wow.
Did you not see this? I wish that we had an editor just pop it up right here.
I'm gonna get a clip going. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm about to pull it up. I got my other laptop right here, so I'm gonna just.
Jericho has just been going at people. Literally.
Mitch, shout out to Mitch.
Oh my God.
I think I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to social media,
it's rough. It's tough,
especially on
looking like your wife's wife.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really bad. But my question, I just think, in my opinion,
boy,
Jericho, what did that man do?
Yeah,
the comment was, "My worst nightmare has arrived." I guess this guy's commenting on Jericho Sims' page. So
right, being a backup.
That's where you mess up. You can't bring the hate to somebody's page. He says, "My worst nightmare has arrived. You're the backup center. I swear, you being on this roster makes me hate my life really bad." Number one, it's never that serious. It's never that serious, guys. Just go outside, go for a walk, touch some grass. You know what I'm saying? It's just basketball. Number two, Jericho, your wife's wife is that's crazy. Oh man, listen, he's got a chip on his shoulder now. Everybody's talking about him crazy.
I love it.
I love it. Twitter, X, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. I know Mitch is very open with his feelings on Snapchat, but I just think when you are on the New York Knicks or any of these main market teams, you're gonna catch hate. We're a passionate fan base. If you're not liked, look at when Julius Randle put the thumbs down. If he walked on New York streets, I would not feel safe being with him, just because that is the power that this fan base has. But I think there's a side, biting back, showing that you're not just gonna take it. But there's also that side of it's not worth it.
Yeah,
it's not worth it fighting back on these trolls.
I think Mitch is at that point right now.
What?
Mitch is I think like the first one or two that he did was cool. Now he's like, I feel like he's kind of coming at the fan base now. And you got to realize that some people are just trolling you, right? And it's just a troll, and it's literally something to get you to react. And now, like, I follow Mitchell Robinson on IG, like I'll see him open up a live, and it's to talk to trolls. Like, hey, F you, B words. And I'm like, not that I haven't cursed on the word, but I don't say that word too often,
Yeah.
But
I got a question for y'all, because I know we're probably winding down soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Say the Knicks don't sign another center. Say they re-sign Precious Achiuwa, right? So now you've got Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, Jericho Sims as your three centers, and we pretty much have the rest of the roster filled out as is. What's your confidence level? What's your confidence level? And if everybody's staying healthy, if everyone stays healthy, right? If this is the team that you're taking into the playoffs, what's your confidence level with those three centers and the rest of the roster that you can go out there and beat the Boston Celtics? Is the backup center position that important to where it drastically decreases your chances at doing what you want to do this season?
I don't think against the Celtics.
Stan, you'll go first, and then I'll get my answer.
No, I was just saying, I don't think against the Celtics it's that important. Like, speaking to the last thing you said, the backup center, I think you could get it done with Precious Achiuwa and Sims. I think Sims is really going to prove a lot. Like, I'm rooting for him. I really am. Like, a lot of people have been dogging him badly. People have been dogging Mitch badly. And I just think it's unwarranted. I mean, maybe the Sims stuff is a little bit warranted, but look, we talked about how bad Deuce was, and people didn't want to see him playing another minute on the court. And now look how much no, you can't trade Deuce McBride. Like, he's on the best contract in the NBA, all these things. And, like, you work yourself into these things. So, confidence level, I say a 7.
My confidence level is a little lower than Stan's, just because multiple things.
Fair. That's fair.
Chris is laughing at me, but, like, do I think that the backup center is this huge deal that if the Knicks had, I don't know, Lou Amundsen as their backup center, would I be like, yeah, I know, I went there. Lou Amundsen catching straight.
Shout out to almond milk.
Like, even Samuel Dallenberg, whatever. Getting to my point. Do I think it's so important? No. But if you're telling me, look, you have one of the best wing duos in the NBA, arguably, Mikhail and OG. Do I think that this roster is going to stay healthy for the entire season? No. Just because I don't think that the Knicks are going to load manage their guys like the Clippers do or some other teams to keep their guys healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
My confidence level right now is at a 6.2 because I don't think that I'm like Dave Portnoy when he tries pizza. It's a trend, okay? Let's get with it.
6.2.
6.2 is wild.
Because I'll explain why.
Absolutely wild.
This team right now, I don't think can beat the Boston Celtics. They would take it. I think the Boston Celtics right now would take it in 6 games. The Knicks would get them to 6. But right now, as currently constructed, I'm one of the biggest Knicks fans. People probably are like, oh, she's not a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan since 2001, so let's relax there. I'm not confident with this team just because of the injury history. The only person that's really, truly is healthy, it's going to, Jalen's going to play through anything. He's going to say, I'm fine. Mikhail has not missed a basketball game since high school. Josh Hart was playing with cramps or something with his stomach. Other than those 3 guys, Julius Randle, I'm sure, is going to be on a rampage this season because he was injured and he's
going to try to play every game this season. I promise you.
He's going to try and stay. But, that whole thing with Jaime Jaquez, look back and it's like the what if season, I think, this past season. Because if Julius played, who knows what could have happened? Could the Knicks get past Indiana Pacers? I just don't think that.
Yeah, of course.
My confidence level would have been higher if they added, like, why haven't they signed Precious back? Like, what are you waiting for? Makes no sense to me. There's something going on behind the scenes.
Actually has offers from contenders.
I know, but he's not accepted them yet. He totally could have already. What is he waiting for?
The Knicks obviously have told him, look, I don't know if any of you guys are watching Hard Knocks, when they had the conversation with Saquon and said, "Hey, will you come back with Tua?"
Saquon was like,
He was like,
yeah, go to Philly.
He did a James Harden. He said, "All right."
I'm not very confident with this roster just because I love Mitchell Robinson. Please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think he can stay healthy unless they load manage him.
I'm pretty sure we all feel the same way. It's not a skill issue. It's really just
it's a health issue.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not confident in Jericho Sims because he, as much as Chris last season in the offseason when training camp was starting, he could have been he was out playing Isaiah, but he hasn't taken that next step for me to be confident in him. But Mitch not being healthy, I think iHart is the biggest loss. I think it's going to be a really impact thing just because of how he controls around the rim. Jericho doesn't have that. Mitch is a shot blocker.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the touch around the rim that Isaiah had. I'm sorry, he does not. I'm confident that Dante and Josh.
You know he has the record for field goal percentage.
I know. Josh.
How can you say that?
Miles are going to be great.
How can you say that if he literally has the field goal record?
Because the only thing he's doing is like Tyson Chandler and dunking the ball.
So you don't think they're all dunks?
Show me a highlight tape of Mitchell Robinson.
I will.
And you know what?
Actually,
And
I'm
you
gonna
know
reach
what,
out to Tag.
Stan, you know what?
Shout out to Tag on next footage. I'm gonna reach out to Tag. Tag gonna put it together.
You know what doesn't make sense to me? In my Brian Windhorst thing. Why has Mitchell Robinson's free throw percentage decreased every single season since he's been with the New York Knicks?
Dude, fire your free throw guy. Fire that guy.
Chris, if you go on ESPN, look at Mitchell Robinson's free throw. Every single thing, it's gone under. And he's posting on Snapchat, I got you. Like, I'm going to – whatever. Wrapping up my point here, 6.2, if the Knicks make a trade for a solid center who's healthy, I won't be scared anymore because if Mitch goes down, they have the backup.
Yeah. That's the big fear here is what happens if Mitchell Robinson can't play.
Right.
God forbid Mitchell Robinson goes down 15 games in and you're Jericho Sims, your starting center.
The options would be just Jericho Sims, hopefully Precious on the floor, and then you're looking at OG, because I know Thomas flirted with the idea of putting OG at center. You're looking at Josh. I know Julius don't want to play center, but you're probably going to throw him there too. Like it would be brutal. It would be terrible if Mitch were to go down.
This team can go down like a game of Jenga. If the health issues get really bad, this team they're not going to go farther than they did last year.
Yeah.
I can't say that because we've seen I don't think there's another scenario, and we'll wrap up soon.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another scenario where you lose that many starters.
Well, we just did.
Okay, but it's the law of averages, right? If you do it once, it's like lightning strikes, right? Like people are afraid to go to the same area. It's not going to hit in that same area.
You never know. You never know.
Stan, it's the Knicks. Anything can happen with
this. The PTSD has to end.
On that note, thank you to the 1,400 people that have joined us. 6.2. Remember my prediction. I think that the Knicks are not done. Thank you to Chris, Stan, and our other guests that joined us today, Rylan and Will. Make sure to follow at Offbeat the Pod. That is our podcast. We will be ramping up our guest schedule soon, so stay tuned. Chris, me, and Stan are working on a guest schedule. It should be really fun. But shout out to over 1,400 people that joined, and make sure to follow at the Knicks Stan. That is Stan, and then at Chris Splash. He is a Knicks beat reporter, so make sure to fill in with him. There's a summer league game this weekend.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday.
The Hornets.
All the guys play. I'm excited to see Daddy A play, but appreciate everyone for coming out. We're out.